Okay, welcome back to the channel. So this is not my normal video. Normally I do videos on Friday. I just want to do an update to the channel. There's going to be some changes coming in this fall. Probably the biggest change is I'm not going to be doing weekly videos anymore. I stopped the series on the shovel, if you saw the last video, because it started. I'm still working on the shovel a little bit. I still have an oil pump problem that I'm dealing with, but I think I've kind of fixed that. So I'm not going to bother to do a video on that. I will show you one thing though, if you watch the short videos that I've been doing on this oil pump problem. Let me just give you an update on that while I've got the camera out here. All right, because I didn't want to make this video about the shovel. I'm kind of done with it. So these studs here, these top studs, there's actually supposed to be nuts on here, brass nuts. Now I did get a new cover. Let me show you the old cover. So the old cover, if you looked right here, had like a chunk taken out, and there was an oil leak. You could see the oil kind of bubbling up through there. So I went to a local shop. I did get a new cover, and I put that on. However, on these top bolts, let me find one. Anyway, these top bolts here, when you put the cover on, are now hitting up against this. So I wanted to go back to the original bolts that were in this, which is this, because what was in there before were these, and I really wasn't too happy about those. So I am going back to the original bolts that were in there, and I did manage to find, see if I can get a nut on here, the nuts that are supposed to be on here. Now, there's supposed to be, okay, I did find the nuts that are supposed to go on there. Now I tried getting those studs out with a pair of vice grips, and they are not budging. I sprayed some PB Blaster in there and kind of tapped them a little bit to get a vibration going. Still nothing. I did heat it up briefly, but I don't want to really heat it up too much because there's oil still all in these passages, and I don't want this oil to start smoking and start burning. Then I'm going to have burnt oil in there. So now, according to the parts manual, these are supposed to be 1/4 by 20 threads on these nuts. That's not the case. I ordered some 1/4 by 20s. They wouldn't fit. These are actually 1/4 by 28s. But that's fine. I mean, as long as the bolts are the nuts are gonna go on there, because that's what's supposed to be. There's supposed to be brass nuts on here, not these acorn type of bolts. These are the aftermarket type stuff. So anyway, that's that. Got that solved. I am going back to the paper gaskets over these Mylar ones. I'm not a big fan of these Mylar gaskets. Now the torquing is different on the different gaskets. Like these Mylar ones only require a 45 to 50 inch torque, which isn't a whole lot. The white paper gaskets, I think, are 70 to 80, and then the black gaskets, which is what I have, are higher. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, those three different gaskets have different torque values, and you're not supposed to torque it any more than that, because what it does is it distorts the gasket and it can cause it to leak. Plus it puts pressure against the gears that are in there and it can actually seize one of the gears up. So anyway, that's it for the shovel. I'll be getting this back together probably in another day or two, and then we'll be up and running and we'll get this thing out on the road. Okay, but really the whole point of this video is to talk about this fall, what's coming up. Now I've been looking for a bike to do pretty much for the last couple months. I'm not having any luck finding anything. The bikes that are in the right price range, because what I'm looking for actually is an Evo Road King. That's what I want to do. I'd like to do another Evo motor. I've done twin cams. I did one Evo about 15 years ago, which is a Sportster. Did a panhead, did the shovel. Now I want to go back to doing an Evo. Knuckles are just way out of my price range. Even a basket case knuckle is like 20,000, so that's just not reasonable enough for me to do. So I am looking for a Road King. I've been looking at electric glides also. The problem is the ones that I'm finding for the right price don't need really any work. There's really nothing to do on them. I mean, the work that has to be done on them you can do basically in a week. The ones that need a lot of work are just ridiculously priced, and I don't really get that. Some that I'm looking at that are in the that should be $500 bikes, $800 bikes, they want $300 and $3,500 for. I don't really get it. And some of these bikes really need a complete restoration. You know, they have 118, 120,000 miles on it, which means a total top and bottom rebuild of the motor. Who knows what's going on with the clutch, with the transmission, and they just want ridiculous money for these bikes. I don't know where they're getting their prices from. But again, it has to be a specific bike. I'm not going to buy a bike just to do videos. That's crazy. It's going to have to be a bike that I want to keep. You can pretty much pick up Sportsters for next to nothing, but I don't really want another Sportster. And I'm not in the business of flipping bikes. I just don't want to do that. So I'm going to give myself to October. Usually by October up here in the Northeast, people are getting rid of what they want. They don't want to store it for the winter. And I take my bikes off the road generally around Halloween. We have had snow here on Halloween Eve and on Halloween Day. So generally around the Halloween time frame is when I take my bikes off the road. So one of the things that's planned, I don't know if I'll get to it this winter, is I did buy a stud extractor kit that should be here tomorrow. I think it's 7 or 8 socket type extractors. So I might try to pull those studs off this winter. I don't want to do it now. My biggest fear is breaking one of those studs off inside the case. Then you're really kind of screwed. It's possible that those studs were put in there with red Loctite. I don't know why you would do that. I would think if you're going to Loctite it blue would be sufficient. I'm not sure why. Either that or they're cross-threaded in there or they're just rusted. Now, I did look at an older video when I got the motor back from the person that did the lower end. Those studs were in there, so I never took them out before the motor went out, and they never took them out when they redid the motor end and blasted the motor end. So blasted the motor on it. So I don't really know what the deal is. Anyway, they're not the right studs, but they're good enough for this year. I can get it back together and get it running for this year. So okay, so probably the main thing I'm going to be doing this winter is pulling the front end off this Deluxe. I do want to chrome out the lower forks. I thought that I might just take the lower forks off here and polish up and do brushed aluminum, but there's really no brushed aluminum on this bike. It's black and chrome, so I think it's more appropriate really to just replace these lower legs with chrome. There's not a whole lot more than I'm going to do with this bike. It doesn't really need anything. My wife likes it the way it is. She likes the bars. She likes the seats. She just likes it the way it is. So I don't really see the point in changing anything. If I do anything, it's going to be, cosmetic stuff. Maybe I'll switch over to chrome controls. But I do like the black controls on this black bike. So again, not a whole lot to do with that. As long as I've got the front wheel off, I'll probably do the wheel bearing. And then, of course, we're going to change all the oil in the forks, and we'll look at the seals. I don't think I'll do the head bearing. I don't remember how many miles this has on it. It's only got 24,000 miles, so I don't think we need to do a head bearing. We might do adjustment, of course, after we get the front forks done, but other than that, there's not a whole lot. On the Springer, I was thinking about pulling the cylinders off again and having the cylinders diamond cut on this bike. Now, if you don't know what diamond cut is, they cut like these all in the cylinder fins. Here's a picture of a 2000 Ultra that I had the cylinders diamond cut on. It looks awesome. So they also have something called a pineapple cut, which is a little bit different than the diamond cut. And I'll show you both pictures of what that is. So that might be something to do on the Springer. Like I said, I'm all done with the Springer. I did that last year. There's really nothing left to do on it except do the cylinders with a diamond cut. That would probably be the only thing I would do on this bike. I might replace the cylinders. Place the pistons. If I'm going to go that far, I got to pull them out anyway. But again, I don't have to take the pistons off the rods. I just have to pull the cylinders off and send them off. So on the Sportster, there is some stuff that I want to do on the Sportster. So last year, my wife was riding this, and we went out to eat. And she went over like a speed bump in the parking lot. The bike cut out. We went in to eat. She came back out. Bike started up. She drove it about 2 miles and it died again. So that was when I decided to replace the stock electronic ignition with the Dynatec 2000. There's Dynatec 2000 in this. I do have a video on doing that for the Sportster. I also replaced the coil. Coils are known. Now this is a 98. Coils are known to go in this bike because of the way they're located right here. And you get a lot of heat up the cylinders, and once the coil heats up, it kind of cuts out. So that could have been the problem. I don't know if that's the problem or not. I do want to kind of go through this bike, pull the seat off, and kind of pull some stuff out of the other side over here. It is pretty grimy in there from, 20 years of use. Also, one thing I want to do is I want to get rid of these forward controls and go back to the regular stock controls on this bike. We picked up these forward controls down in Myrtle Beach, I think in 2005 or 2006. They never really fit the bike right, and I don't like it. I would ride this bike a lot more if it had floorboards. I don't know if you're like me. I've always had an Electroglide, or I've always had a bike, that had floorboards. And to me, it's just natural to put your feet down. Not as soon as you take your feet off the ground here, you got to put them up here. It's awkward for me to do that. But I would ride this bike a lot more if it had floorboards, or at least mini floorboards. So I might look for a set of mini floorboards to go on here. I don't think you can fit full floorboards, but I'm going to look into that, to doing some more work on this winter. I do have a chrome caliper, rear caliper for this bike. Now, I still have it. This went to a shop maybe 15 years ago to put that caliper on. They could never get that caliper to work. I don't know why. I just never pursued it, after that, because she was riding it. So again, we got to take everything off and go to replace the lines. These braided clear lines are kind of yellowed, so we're going to replace that. We'll do some painting in here. You can see some of the paint's gone. So I do want to get this Sportster up, because I am planning on riding this a lot next year. Get rid of these type of controls over here and just go back to the way they were. I don't know that we'll do a whole lot. We might do the fork oil change in this. I don't think it needs brakes. I don't remember how many miles are on this. Do I have a key in here? Yeah, I got the key in here. So there's 7,071 miles on this, but this is not the stock speedometer. I don't remember how many miles were on this bike when I changed that out about 20 years ago. I don't think I have the original speedometer anymore. I think all that stuff went along with the tank and the fenders. I think I sold all that off years ago. So, okay, so that's gonna do it for this video. We're gonna wrap this up. There is some work to do this winter out here. Like I said, there's probably not enough if I don't get another bike to do weekly videos. So I'm not gonna really worry about doing a weekly video anymore. There's just a lot of other stuff that I want to do that I can't do by doing a weekly video. Weekly videos take a lot of time. It's not just a one-day shoot and then editing. Stuff has to take place over multiple days sometimes. Sometimes it just gets to be too much. So anyway, if you want to know what's going to be going on later on, the best thing to do is either subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification when I upload, or just check back every week. You don't even have to subscribe if you don't want to. Just check back every week to see if I've got a video or not. And you'll know, you can tell by the timeline. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.